This video is to show you the metric system and how easy it can be to convert between various metric units using this method called the metric slider. So if you grew up in America, you might have not used the metric system so much. Here we use pounds and ounces and all these confusing things. But most of the world actually uses the metric system. And when you go into science, and this is a biology class, so you should get used to the metric system, we use the system that's based on either multiplying with 10 or dividing with 10 for each step where we're moving in either direction on our metric slider. So, some of these might sound confusing. We have centiliters, centimeters, kilograms, grams, so forth. So let's take a look at what some of these things are. So I'm going to start off talking about some properties. So for example, we have a property called length, and that's when we're measuring how long something is. And in the metric system, we report it in meters. And meters is then abbreviated with lowercase m. And I can't stress this enough. You really need to get super comfortable with using the proper lowercase or uppercase letter. So for meters, it's always lowercase m. Do not use capital M. The same goes for prefixes, as I will show you on the next slide. Because in science, having a capital M or a lowercase m might mean two completely different things. So another property is weight, and in the metric system we report weight with grams, and it's abbreviated with lowercase g. Another property is volume, and here we report it in liters, and it used to be reported in lowercase l, but because modern computers and some fonts don't distinguish very well between the number 1 and a lowercase l, I have actually started switching to uppercase L more for clarity. And so it's acceptable to use uppercase L or capital L instead as an abbreviation for liters. All right, so these properties and these units can be combined with some prefixes in the metric system. So prefixes are these over here in this column, and I'm boxing in the ones that I am going to use in today's video. Prefixes are actually a name that has a meaning to it, and you can see the meaning here. So for example, if we write the word kilo, kilo actually means 1,000. Deca means 10. Deci means that you have 1/10 of something. Centi means that you have 1/100th of something. Milli means that you have 1/1000th of something, or 0.001. So these prefixes help us write numbers more efficiently in the metric system. So we can take the prefix and combine it with a unit and cut down on the number of zeros, for example, that we need to report. We can make the numbers more manageable. So let's take a look at this. So for example, remember length. We measured that in meters. So we can combine meters with a prefix. And in this example, I'm going to use milli. So milli is a prefix, and meters is the unit. And so here is the prefix, lowercase m stands for milli, and the lowercase m over here stands for meters. I want to go back to the previous slide and point out how important it is that we use the correct upper and lower case. If you had used uppercase m, you would have reported a very large number, but in this case, we are using a lowercase m, which is a very small number. So, moving on to next one. Once again, I can use a prefix, milli, same prefix as above, and I can combine that now with the unit grams, and I get milligrams. For liters, once again, I use the prefix milli, and I combine it with liters, and here I have milliliters. Well, it's important to notice that you can never have the prefix by itself, but you can have the unit by itself. So you can never have just something say milli, then everyone would say milli what? But you can have meter by itself, right? Or you can have gram by itself. All right, so let's take a look at how to convert between these units now when we know a little bit about the metric system. And so I'm going to introduce this metric slider method, which I think is super easy for anyone that never liked math. So here is your basic metric slider. You have a line with 7 tick marks, and these tick marks have the prefixes up here. Kilo, hecto, deca. Remember, unit is not a prefix. This is where we're going to have whatever property we're measuring. So the unit could be meters, grams, or liters for volume. And then we continue with the prefixes over here. So these prefixes had short notations to them. So here are the short notations, and you really need to memorize these and get them down. And then a little trick to remember what order they go in is to remember this. King Henry died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk. All right, so once you got this down, we have our slider. We put our short notation for the prefixes down. Remember, this is just unit. This is not a prefix. And then you're going to move on this line either to the right or the left. And so when you're moving on this line, all you're really doing is either multiplying with 10 or dividing the 10, depending on if you're moving to the left or right. So if you're moving to the right on the number line, for each tick mark, you're multiplying with 10. So here I moved 1 step to the right, so I multiplied it with 10, and I keep multiplying with 10 for every step. So if I moved all the way from the base unit over here to milli, well, I moved to the right 3 steps. Well, 10 times 10 is 100, and 100 times 10 is 1,000. So I effectively multiplied with 1,000, moving from here to here. If I move to the left on the number line, well, then I'm just dividing with 10 for each step. And so I think we get the picture. All right, so you might be, oh, but it's still math, it's complicated. Well, let's make it even easier. So when we use the metric slider process, we ask 2 questions. Number 1 is, which way will I be moving on this number line? Will I be moving left or right? That's the first question you answer. Next, you want to ask, how many steps will I be moving? And so all you need to do then is count them. All right, let me show by example. So our first example here, we have 1 meter. It does not have a prefix because we're right here on the unit, and the unit is meter. So this is where we're starting. We want to move to centimeters, which is over here. And so we're moving to the right. So which way will I be moving? I'm moving to the right. How many steps will I be moving? And in this case, I will be moving 1, 2 steps. All right, so next I'm going to write it out here for clarity. We have our 1 meter, and behind this 1 is an invisible decimal point. So I'm writing that out here. Then I'm going to move to the right, and I'm going to move 2 steps. 1, 2. And I'm going to move that decimal point over here, and I'm going to fill in with zeros. I'm going to clean this up for you, and so this becomes 100. This is where we moved that decimal point to. We moved it from over here, 1, 2. So the answer to this is 100 centimeters. So 1 meter is the same as 100 centimeters. All right, let's do another one. In this case, we are still on meters. So the unit is meters. And we are on kilometers, that's over here. We want to go to deci, which is over here. And our number was 5. That 5 had an invisible decimal point behind it. All right, so first question, which way will I be moving? Well, I started here, I want to go over here, so I'm moving right. How many steps? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4 steps to the right. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it 4 steps to the right. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to fill in with zeros, and I'm going to clean it up. So it's going to be 50,000. So 5 kilometers is the same as 50,000 decimeters. All right, next one. We're still on meters. So the unit here is meters. We're starting at milli in this case. We're starting over here, and we're going to go to deca, which is over here. So which way will I be moving? I will be moving left in this instance. And how many steps? I will be moving 1, 2, 3, 4 steps to the left. So I'm going to write my number here, 3,700, and there's an invisible decimal point behind that last zero. I'm going to move it 4 steps to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so the answer, when I clean this up, is 0.3700, or simply 0.37 decameters. All right, let's switch to something else than meters. Here we have grams. Grams. Our prefix is kilo, so this is where we're starting. And we want to go all the way over to milli, all the way over on the other end. Well, which way will I be moving? Obviously, I'm moving right. How many steps? Well, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to count 6. I'm going to write this. In this case, my decimal point is not invisible. It's there. So I'm going to move this 6 steps to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to fill in with zeros. Something funky there. And I'm going to clean it up to 500,000. All right, 500,000. So a half a kilogram is the same as 500,000 milligrams. All right, let's do another one. In this case, we're moving on to liters. We're doing volume. So liter, we're starting at deci, and we want to go to the liter. It has no prefix here. So we're moving to the left, and we're moving 1 step, right? So I'm going to start with my 10, and the invisible decimal point is right here. I'm moving it to the left 1 step, and so the answer is 1.0, or just simply 1. So 10 deciliters is the same as 1 liter. All right, so here I'm going to do a whole bunch of examples really fast. What I recommend you doing is that you pause the video, you work out the problem, and then you play the video to see if you did it correctly. So we're going to start over here. Okay, so what I just showed you was us using the metric slider within this range of the prefixes. However, once we go outside this range on either side, it gets a little bit more complicated, but not much. So remember, when we were inside this box, we multiplied or divided with 10, or we moved the decimal point either 1 step to the right or 1 step to the left. Once we're outside this range, for example, going to micro, we are now going to skip 3 steps for each place. So we're actually multiplying or dividing with 1,000 or moving the decimal point 3 decimal places. So let me show you. So if I'm moving from milli to micro, I'm multiplying with 1,000. If I'm moving from micro to a milli, I'm dividing with 1,000. But then if I keep going from milli to centi, I'm back to just dividing with 10 and so forth. So let's do some example to illustrate how this works. So the first one here, we are in meters. And we're going to be staying in meters the whole time. And we're starting at milli, and we want to go to micro. Well, we're moving, here we have to move the decimal point 3 times. And so to illustrate that, I'll do it like this. 1, 2, 3. So the only way for you to get this is just to remember it. You have to memorize this. It's the only way this is going to work. So remember, once you're outside the regular metric slider, we start jumping by 3s or moving the decimal point by 3 steps. So in this case, we have 2, and we have our invisible decimal point here, and we're going to move it 3 steps. Oops, 1, 2, 3. And we move it over here, and we fill in with zeros, and then I clean it up, and so it's 2,000. So 2 millimeters equals 2,000 micrometers. All right, next, 250 centimeters. We're starting here, and we're going to go to micrometers. Well, when we're moving that first step here, we only move 1, and then you have to do your 3 jumps to the next. So the number of jumps to the right are a total of 4. So let's start by writing 250, and here's our invisible decimal point. Well, the first one was jumping 1, and then we had to do 3 for the next one. But the total was that we had to do 4 jumps. 1, 2, 3, 4 jumps. So I fill in with zeros, and then I clean it up. So it's going to be 2,500,000 is the answer. So 250 centimeters is 2,500,000 micrometers. Let's do the next one. So here we are at 4,600 micrometers, and we want to go to millimeters. Well, I'm moving to the left, and remember in this case we have to do the 3 steps. So I'm going to write 4,600. I'm going to put in my invisible decimal point, and I'm going to move it left because we're going from micro to milli. In this case, we have to move the decimal point 3 times, and so cleaning it up, we get 4.600, or simply 4.6 millimeters. So 4,600 micrometers is the same as 4.6 millimeters. All right, let's do the next one. We have 500 micrometers, so we're starting over here, and we want to go to millimeters. Well, once again, we're moving left 3 steps, and so I'm going to write my 500 here. We have an invisible decimal point here. We're moving to the left 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. We'll put that there. We'll clean it up, so it's 0.500, or simply 0.5. So 500 micrometers is the same as a half a millimeter, or 0.5 millimeters. All right, let's do the last one here. We are at 750 micrometers, and now we want to move to centimeters. So remember, over here we have to do 3 steps first, and then 1 more step here. So writing this, 750 micrometers, well, we have that invisible decimal point right here. We're moving it 1, 2, 3, 4 steps to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. We'll fill in with a 0 there. We'll clean it up, and it's 0.0750, or simply 0.075. So 750 micrometers is the same as 0.075 centimeters. All right, so what I just showed you was how to use the metric system the easy way. So just to summarize, you make your line with 7 tick marks, and then you remember King Henry died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk, standing for the prefixes. Remember, this is not a prefix, it's where your base unit will be. And then you have to ask yourself 2 questions. Number 1 is, which way on this line will I be moving, left or right? And how many steps will I be moving? And so simply count them. And then remember that if we're outside this normal metric slider, we start multiplying with 1,000, or the decimal point needs to move 3 times, depending on what direction you will go. All right, I hope that made it a lot easier to grasp the metric system.